Mother once told me I should keep a diary. Frankly, at the time I could not see the point.
But now these empty pages have become my only respite, my singular source of catharsis. Gods above know that I need it. Every passing day, nay, every hour it seems, these walls close tighter, and the very air becomes harder to breathe. It is a prison of my own design, my own personal hell, and yet I do not wish to escape it. How could I, when I bear the wedding band of my unwitting jailer upon my finger? I can see her now from this lonesome window. Saw Gerhardt, hero of Nine Bridge, champion of the Ring of Blades, slayer of tyrants. Triumphs from what seems like ages past. Another life, another me, another her. Would they still cheer for her now? I hardly think so. The people have short memories and shorter sympathies. She rests upon the wheeled chair that I built for her, under the sun's gentle glow, sword across her lap. This is nothing new. In fact, this is a normal occurrence. I wheel her out after breaking our fast in the morn, and she will stay there until the eve, where she will request to be moved indoors to the fireplace. When we speak, it is of nothing of import. We speak as if we were strangers meeting for the first time. The scholars speak of the spirit as an almost physical thing. I am no scholar, but I would venture to say that her spirit has been mortally wounded in some way. In days past, we would bandy insults and slights as a matter of course. It was our nature and profession to be competitive. Now, if I speak in the manner I once did, all I get is a half smile. It stabs me through the heart as sure as any blade. I see her sometimes from this window, when she doesn't know I'm watching. She will take her sword and try to strike at the old oak in the way she once did. Try. Her hands can barely grasp the hilt, and each time she tries to rise from the chair, her legs collapse under their own weight, and she will crumple to the ground and crawl back to her chair. Each time I bear witness to it, my heart shatters anew. Yet, on the rare occasions I have worked up the courage to broach the topic with her, she is slammed shut like a dragon's jaws, and no pleading or honeyed words will open her up to me again for the moment. This is, regrettably, a common occurrence. Each time I try to speak to her about herself, she freezes up, locks me out. I have tried to speak to her about hiring on some help for this place. I cannot maintain it alone, and the money is no object. Our combined earnings from past adventures have ensured us a life of relative security until the end of our days. It pains me to say that, predictably, she would not even countenance the idea. She has shored herself up against the world outside, those very same barriers trapping me within them. I would not dream of making decisions on her behalf. That has never been our way. When she will not make any decisions, what am I to do? Am I to simply allow this home, a symbol of all our triumphs, to fall to dust and ruin? Are we to be confined to this place until we simply fade away? There's some humour in this, in its own sick way. I have faced dragons, hordes of rampaging lizardmen, primordial horrors and more besides. Through it all, not once did I falter. Indeed, many have taken to calling me Tarkan the Fearless. Why, then, do I have to work up the courage to speak to my wife? Why does my breath catch in my throat and my limbs seize at the thought of leaving her alone in this house for more than a few hours? Truthfully, I know the answer to that question. I fear what I may find when I return. These rafters are sturdy, more than enough to support the swinging weight of a person. There are some times I wish... God, even putting these words to paper makes my stomach twist. If the accident had killed her, such a thing would have devastated me, I know. I doubt I would even be alive to record these thoughts, having sold my life cheaply for some likely worthy cause. But I would die 1,000,000 times if it meant Saha suffered no longer. And suffer she does, though she tries to hide it from me. When you have been married for 20 years, you get to know people's secret tells. I once heard an aphorism in my younger years. Old heroes don't die, they simply fade away. At the time I thought little of it. I was so certain that my death would be sudden, if not a surprise. When you make as many enemies as me, and battle the things I do, it only takes a single moment of weakness, after all. Now, though, I cannot get the phrase from my head. In my darker moments, I often wonder if it is a curse of some kind, for surely such fables have a history of truth behind them. The life of adventurers like us is not meant to simply sputter out like a candle in the dark. They are meant to build to a grand inferno and be snuffed in a single instant. My fire remains undimmed. My crescendo is out there somewhere, waiting for me to embrace it. But, of course, to do so would mean abandoning her, and I simply cannot, even should I wish to. Perhaps this is how it is meant to be. I have never been one for destiny or fate, but to deny that I have been dealt an impossible hand would be folly. Besides, who is to say what the future holds? 5 years ago I could not have predicted this outcome. In 5 more years I hope to look back and say the same. Gods above, putting these thoughts to paper has made me nauseous in the extreme. But it is a welcome feeling. I cannot burden my charge with also being my confidant. Simply would not be fair. I must prepare now to move her inside and cook supper. Perhaps I will even get a real smile. Dear Diary, I oft wonder why it is customary to begin entries in this manner. From where did this tradition originate? Did the author have any idea how far their legacy would carry? I expect not. The future is ever uncertain, especially when looking past one's own lifetime. Perhaps this is why I find myself unable to see past the here and now. When I look to days to come, I can only see days of the past before all of this. I spoke with a man of learning some years ago, and said something that has stuck with me ever since. He insisted that the mind and body are different in some way, that they are capable of thinking different thoughts, that the body can wish for one thing, while the mind wishes for another. His words resonated with me then, and now. I have never been one to accept the lot given to me meekly. Indeed, I have always preached to others to follow my example in that regard. Why, then, does my resolve fail me whenever I try to ask for, nay, whenever I am offered help? My esteemed husband has offered me aid at every turn, yet, when I try to speak the words to accept it, my throat clamps shut like a miser's purse, and cold panic rises in my breast. They are not my thoughts, my feelings, yet I am powerless to resist expressing them. The expression he wears each altercation is something bordering pity and disappointment. The very sight of it is enough to drive me to fury. I long with all my heart to exchange scathes in the way we used to, if only to offload some of what I feel. Yet I cannot give my voice to the words. I despise being pitied. Perhaps that is what it all comes down to. Perhaps I've known that all along. When I think about it, I know that I will never escape pity. That if I want to move towards a life where I am not pitied, I must first learn to be pitied. But this knowledge cannot stem the deep rage I feel, no matter how much sense it makes. Rage at the world, rage at myself. Sometimes it burns hot enough to force me to action, to swing the blade that ever sits in my lap only for me to get a stark reminder of why I have this chair in the first place. Tarkin pretends he doesn't know, most of the time. But I am no fool. He thinks I do not see him up in that window. My legs may not work, but these are the same eyes that could hit a bear's eye at 300 meters. Far be it from me to claim some sort of moral high ground, however. I pity him far more than he does me. I can see it in his face. He longs to hit the trail again, axe in hand. He paces like a caged animal into the small hours while he thinks I'm asleep. I long to tell him to leave, to abandon his crippled wife and find his own happiness. But I know he will not. I could beg him to, and he will simply give me that same smile he has been giving me since we were young that means he will not argue with me. He will not even practice in the yard if I am around. I am a cripple, not some delicate flower that needs her feelings protected. Curse him. Curse him for a bloody fool. He should not be here with me. He is a living legend. A hero. I am an aging, crippled woman who needs help using the bloody latrine. There are still people he could save. There's no saving me. I know that. And I wish he knew it too. That said, I am thankful. I am not sure I wish to die yet, but frankly I am not keen on life either. Perhaps one day one of us will come to our senses and solve problems as we always used to, together. Until then, though, I am glad he is here.